The new Heisman favorite odds have been revealed, and Ohio State fans are going to love to see who is number one, as well as there's another Ohio State Buckeye working his way up the odds in terms of Heisman voting, and we got to break it all down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Columbus Football 365. If you're an Ohio State football fan, hit that subscribe button. Only 4.3% of viewers are subscribed, but let's hop right into the odds. Coming in at number one, Julian Sayin. His strong game against the Penn State Nittany Lions has launched him to the top of the Heisman odds, jumping over both Ty Simpson from Alabama and Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback from Indiana. Julian Sayin went absolutely crazy against the Penn State Nittany Lions, throwing bombs left and right to Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, and earned his spot at the top of the Heisman odds so far. Julian Sayin, his stats so far this year: 176 completions on 218 attempts, which is good for a league, an FBS leading 80.7% completion percentage, which is absolutely amazing. People love to talk about the bombs, but to me, the bombs, yes, they're really accurate, but that's a lot of Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate getting open and making great catches. Where this number comes from is what makes Julian Sayin really impressive, which is knowing how to make the right play. And he started slowly this season because Brian Hartline, our offensive coordinator, wanted him to be, a little bit of a system quarterback, and that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be a system quarterback when it's your first year starting, but he has taken that system. He started as the system QB and has leveled up each and every single week, and now the league is finally starting to take notice, and sports bettors are finally starting to take notice. Continuing with the stats, averaging 10 yards per completion, 2,188 yards so far on the season, 23 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions thrown by Julian Sayin on the season. Extremely impressive stats so far from our young quarterback. But returning to what the odds actually are, Sayin jumped over Fernando Mendoza, who is becoming a more and more well-known name in college football. Fernando Mendoza has the Indiana Hoosiers on a warpath. They are crushing teams. If it is Ohio State versus Indiana in the Big Ten championship game, which it really looks like that's where things are trending, that game's going to be absolutely fantastic. Number one versus number two overall in the country, fighting it out for the number one seed in the college football playoffs. Should be absolutely amazing to see. But just remember, whoever loses that game, as long as you stay in the top 4 in the college football playoff rankings, a first round bye is still possible. It's not just the 4 highest ranked conference champions like it was last year. But continuing down this list, Marcel Reed is now sliding into 4th from Texas A&M. Gunnar Stockton, quarterback of Georgia, and then Jeremiah Smith has entered the top 6 in terms of Heisman betting. So far, his odds are at plus 4,000, meaning he's probably not going to win the Heisman Trophy. Julian Sayin significantly more likely if it is going to be going to an Ohio State Buckeye. But the thing you may notice looking at these, looking at the names that are currently the favorites to be the Heisman, you may notice something. The top 5, they all play quarterback. And well, if you're watching college football or Fox's Big Noon Saturday, watching the Ohio State Buckeyes last weekend, you may have noticed that the announcers noticed that as well. And Gus Johnson said, you can give the Heisman to a quarterback, but what did you say at halftime, Joel? And Joel Klatt said, Jeremiah Smith, that's the best player in America. And I absolutely could not agree more with this statement. To me, Jeremiah Smith needs to be the Heisman Trophy winner because he's the number 1 player in college football. And that's what the award is supposed to be. It's not just the best quarterback in college football. It's the best overall player. And as good as Julian Sayin has been, Jeremiah Smith is just head and shoulders above the competition when you watch him. And it's amazing because it's not just his on the field stuff. He is clearly a very, very mature person to be able to take a back seat to Carnell Tate this year, who Carnell Tate's fantastic, but he's not as good as Jeremiah Smith. And let's all be honest, if Jeremiah Smith wanted to make it a problem, he could make it a problem. He could say, I need more targets. I'm not getting enough. I need more. I want my stats to look even better than they already do. And we would throw it to him more and he would get his way. But showing a ton of maturity to take that backseat to Carnell Tate and letting Carnell Tate get his shine as well. I saw today Carnell Tate on a lot of draft big boards is taking over as the wide receiver 1 in this class over the previous consensus number 1 wide receiver, Arizona State's Jordan Tyson. I saw him going 5th overall in a mock draft today, and that's extremely exciting to see from Carnell Tate, that's another player who looks better and better every single week. I mean, it is just bonkers how good these Ohio State wide receivers are every single year. And Emeka Egbuka, stuck behind Marvin Harrison Jr. at Ohio State, but gets to the league and everyone goes, wow, this kid is so much better than we thought they were going to be. But the Ohio State wide receiver, it's wide receiver U for a reason. These guys are going absolutely crazy. But looking at what Ohio State has on the horizon coming up, first is going to be a game against Purdue, but everyone's thinking it as soon as the schedule gets put up. It's finally there. We can finally see it. 4 games away. Revenge. Ohio State going up north on November 29th. It's getting closer to what is a currently ranked Michigan Wolverine team. Their freshman quarterback, Bryce Underwood, he's a really good college quarterback, but he's not as good as Julian Sayin is at this current moment in time. He may be able to throw the football 1,000,000 miles per hour, but it doesn't matter if the guy is running a drag route. It's only 2 feet ahead of you. You got to make sure you're throwing an accurate pass as well. So that is going to be an extremely entertaining game, and can't wait to watch Ohio State take on the team up north. That should be a fantastic game. Hopefully, Ryan Day can get his first win in that rivalry for the first time in the past couple of years. But this weekend, we got Purdue, who is struggling pretty greatly this year. They're not as bad as they were last year. Last year, they were arguably the worst team in all of the Power 4 or Power 5 at the time. But Purdue, they've gotten better this year. They are, if you're a 25, if you're Michigan, maybe you could get upset by Purdue, but Purdue is not upsetting a top 3 team. Indiana should be safe from them. We should be safe as well. UCLA, the new play caller, Jerry Neuheisel, he had that team going, had that team believing, but then they walked into a buzzsaw 2 weeks ago against Indiana. So UCLA, it looks like we've seen their ceiling, and I have to admit I was getting a little bit worried about what I was seeing from them because they were playing really well, and I was saying, don't look now, but they only have 1 Big Ten loss. They now have 2 Big Ten losses, and in what expects to be a conference with the 2 teams are probably going to be undefeated because Ohio State and Indiana are head and shoulders above the rest of the conference, and frankly, above the rest of the teams that they play, and they don't play each other during the regular season. So that looks like that's going to be the Big Ten championship game unless one of those 2 teams slips up. UCLA going to be on the outside looking in. Got to take care of business against them. Rutgers, another team that if you're only a solid team, you would be on upset alert. Rutgers would be a team that I would say you're supposed to handle them, and they probably will handle them. But Ohio State this year, number 1 defense still in points allowed. They are absolutely fantastic, and Rutgers really should not be any issue. But that game, the end of this regular season and then combined with that matchup in the Big Ten Conference Championship game should be absolutely amazing to finish off the year. The next 3 matchups, a little bit softer, so maybe they're going to be a little bit less entertaining. But hey, I like watching the close games. I love watching the blowouts too. I'm not going to complain. A win is a win. But finishing off with going back to those odds, Sayin is going to, you would think, with some softer matchups, continue to get even better odds or even worse odds if you want to bet on it. If you want to bet on Julian Sayin, bet on him now to win the Heisman because his odds will be going up over the next 3 weeks as Ohio State takes on those weaker teams in the Big Ten. And what you're basically just trying to fade is Fernando Mendoza or Ty Simpson going even more nuclear than they've already done. But Julian Sayin, to me, seems like the best quarterback in college football, and I do agree with him being the number 1 quarterback in terms of Heisman Trophy voting odds. But Jeremiah Smith plus 4,000 is crazy. That should be better. He's the best player in college football, and the best player in college football should have Heisman voting odds that reflect that. But hey, not going to complain as long as it's a Buckeye at the top. As long as the Buckeyes are undefeated. It's not about personal awards. It's about winning championships, about winning Big Ten Conference championships, and then national championships. Let's go back to back. This team, some people are saying it, probably even better than last season. Even if the names aren't as big as they were last year, this team is even more dominant. If you look at the way they play, Sayin just doesn't make mistakes. Only 3 interceptions on the year, combined with just an unfair, pretty much already NFL caliber wide receiver tandem. Don't forget about Max Clare, the tight end. He's a dog as well. Running backs, solid. They're young. They're young, solid. Last year, obviously, we're not top in Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. Those guys were amazing together, but very excited to see the way that the rest of the Heisman Trophy race shakes out. Julian Sayin, let's go. Keep making fantastic, just keep making impressions every single weekend. Make good impressions. Hopefully, Jeremiah Smith moves up, but that's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long, I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. Please hit that like button if you haven't already, and go Buckeyes.